of the series of Today, If You Hear God's Voice, and the subtitle is For All Humanity. And we're going to Hebrews chapter 2. Therefore, we must pay much more careful heed to the things we have heard, so that we will not drift away. For if the word God spoke through angels became binding, so that every violation and act of disobedience received its just deserts in full measure, then how will we escape if we ignore such a great deliverance? If we don't accept the salvation plan of God, not the salvation plan of man, not what we want it to be, but what God has established as the salvation plan, because we don't like to hear it, because it doesn't line up with our theology, we're not going to escape the consequences of that rejection. It's not going to be good. This deliverance, which was first declared by the Lord, was confirmed for us by those who heard him, while God also bore witness to it with various signs, wonders, and miracles, and with gifts of the Ruach HaKodesh, which he distributed as he chose. Now, some of that proof that God showed was the resurrection of Yeshua, the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh, speaking in tongues, among other things. For it was not to angels that God subjected the Olam Haba, the world to come, which is what we are talking about. And there is a place where someone has given this solemn testimony. What is mere man that you concern yourself with him? Or the Son of Man that you watch over him with such care? You made him a little lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor. You put everything in subjection under his feet. In subjection, everything to him. He left nothing unsubjected to him. However, at present, we don't see everything subjected to him. At least not yet. But we do see Yeshua, who indeed was made for a little while lower than the angels, now crowned with glory and honor. I said yesterday that Yeshua is actually the Word of God that was revealed in flesh. So I'm going to completely tell you what he is. If you go to Colossians chapter 2, verse 9, it'll tell you that the fullness of the Godhead is in him. What that means is he's not half and half. He's 100% of man and 100% of God. When he walked the earth, he did not lose his divinity. He still had authority to command angels, and they obeyed him. He still had authority to command the ocean and the sea, and it obeyed him. He had authority to command the demons, and they obeyed him. So he didn't lose his divinity. And he was so 100% human. He got hungry. He got tired. He got angry. He felt love. He felt fear. He was 100% of both. His divinity gave him the power to do the miracles he did. His humanity gave him the connection that he needed to be with us. It also gave him the one thing that needed to be done for our salvation, and that was to shed blood. And there was nobody more pure than him. Absolutely nobody could be as righteous and as holy to die for the sins of the world. Nobody's blood would have been pure and suitable for that calling, except for God himself. Or because he suffered death, so that by God's grace he might taste death for all humanity. In other words, he stood in the gap. He took our place. That death sentence was ours. That ridicule was ours. That thorn of crowns, that was ours. That is lashes by the whip, those were ours. The slap in the face, that was ours. The cross that he got hung on, all that was ours. That was what we deserved. And he took it for us. A God that couldn't die. A God that you could not cause pain to. Chose to robe himself in humanity, to become man, to feel all the pain that we felt, to feel all the disappointment we feel, to be rejected like man does, to be ridiculed, to be mocked, to be beat, to be tortured, to be hung on a cross, to bleed, to take our place, so that he could open the gates of salvation for all of us, or as many of us that will take it. For in bringing many sons to glory, it was only fitting that God, the creator and preserver of everything, should bring the initiator of their deliverance to the goal through sufferings. For both Yeshua, who sets people apart for God, and the ones being set apart have a common origin. This is why he is not ashamed to call them brothers when he says, I will proclaim your name to my brothers. In the midst of the congregation, I will sing your praises. Also, I will put my trust in him. And then it goes on, here I am, along with the children of God, with the children God has given me. So he became human for our sake. And for those who wonder, how does God become man? What limits does God have? Can we limit him? Can we tell him you're God so you can't become a human? God knew there was absolutely no human being whose blood was pure enough to shed for the sins of the world except for him. So for us to gain salvation, the only one who could do the job was him. Therefore, since the children share a common physical nature as human beings, he became like them and shared that same human nature so that by his death he might render ineffective the one who has power over death, that is the adversary. At the cross, Yeshua got absolute victory. When he came up out of that grave, that's when we knew he had defeated death, hell, and the grave. And that makes him completely and honestly and sincerely Lord over all. And thus set free those who had been in bondage all their lives because of the fear of death. Indeed, it is obvious that he does not take hold of angels to help them. On the contrary, he takes hold of the seed of Abraham. That's anybody who believes. See, the ones that are Jewish, that are ethnically Jews, they're in the olive tree naturally. Me, as a Gentile, I'm in that olive tree because of belief in Yeshua and being obedient to the Word of God. I'm still a Gentile. I don't stop being a Gentile. And I don't replace anyone. But I am in that olive tree because I'm adopted. So I am a daughter of Abraham based on and by adoption. And so is any other Gentile that is a believer. Now, the seed of Abraham, the natural seed, they're still there. They're still his daughters and his sons too. But so are we by adoption. This is why he had to become like his brothers in every respect, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in the service of God, making a atonement for the sins of the people. For since he himself suffered death, he was put to the test. He is able to help them who are being tested now. Somewhere in the Word of God, it says that he's not, I can't remember exact words. He's not a stranger to our trials. He's not a stranger to our pains and our heartaches, because he's felt all of it. See, if you haven't caught on, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you haven't caught on what I'm getting at, is all of this is telling us that there's only one way. There is no other way but Yeshua. And he is God. He's God who chose to become man while still holding on to his divinity to die for the sins of the world. He is the perfect sacrificial lamb. And this was decided before the foundations of the world, because God already knew that we would fall. He already knew that he would need to come up with a plan to bring us back to him. And Yeshua is the perfect plan.